Hey, what's going on? I think today is another live stream. Hopefully, all of the audio, video is checking out for today's live broadcast. I'm trying to do a couple of different things for today's video. Might sound a little bit under the weather because, as you guys probably know, flu season is pretty bad this year. I think it's a record number of sick people coming down with the flu that's especially threatening. Don't really know why, but all around the world, people are getting sick, and not a good sign for people that are trying to stay healthy and record videos on YouTube. So, today's video, I wanted to go through some of the comments inside of a couple of the YouTube videos that I've put out in the last 2 years, and I wanted to highlight some of the more silly comments that I've been getting. And you know, every now and then I get some pretty funny comments. Some comments are kind of trolly, and a lot of other comments are just downright mean. I don't really get affected by these comments, but sometimes I do. So today's video, I don't want to go through the mean comments, but I want to talk about some of the maybe funny, silly comments that I get all the time. And I guess I'll spend today trying to go through some of them so that I can actually get on with my life and not have to answer some of these comments anymore. So hopefully I am able to see you guys. So I have my live chat going on here. I can see a lot of the good stuff. So hello from Germany, nice. We've got some people from India, Luis from Mexico. We have Hagu Bator. I teach from Georgia. When people say Georgia, I don't know if it's Georgia, US, or is it Georgia, like, I think there's another country named Georgia, right? But nonetheless, welcome to the live stream for today. And let me check on who is currently inside of this stream. We have 76 people. And I'm not going to try to go on today's stream for too long because I'm going to head out to the gym and get some exercise. That way I can get a little healthier and stay a little healthier for you guys. So we have Lancaster, Ukraine, and yeah. So Sankit Red says that how much Node.js do we need to know to master APNS, which is Apple Push Notification Services. Allows you to see those little nice push messages that you get. To be honest, didn't understand much in the push notification in Instagram. So yeah, some of you guys might know that the Instagram course has a push notification section, and it uses the Firebase Cloud Functions technology set to enable all this to work. You know, we go through the Node.js code a little bit, which is JavaScript, and we kind of learn how push notifications work in a very surface level. So just like any other language, you have to program in it a little bit to get a better understanding. I took a lot of time to make those couple of lessons about push notifications. So maybe like 2 to 3 weeks of time, I had to understand what was going on, really get a feel for how to log the error messages that I was getting. And yeah, it took me a while to figure out how everything worked. So again, a lot of the videos that you guys watch for this channel, it might seem like I know what I'm doing, but I'm actually learning along the way, just like everyone else. All right, cool. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna transfer over to scene number 1. Hopefully you guys can see this. I'm trying out something different with the broadcasting software. So there's a little window on the top right corner, and that's actually my MacBook camera, so you guys can see the difference in quality. Like what you're seeing right now is the actual DSLR, which is plugged in through a little box that transforms that signal to a signal for the laptop, and then you guys can actually see the DSLR signal. So a lot of people that don't have this setup will have like really bad video quality. That's kind of what you're seeing over there. But anyways, I wanted to go through some of the comments. So in some of the videos, I get asked for a lot of like source code for the projects that I present, and sometimes the source code is just not available. So if you guys take a look at this video called like iOS with I think a carousel thing with a page view controller, that was like my very first video, I think, and so that source code is actually not available on the website. I would have to dig through all of my projects from 2 years ago to find out where that source code is, so I don't know if I'm going to do it. So we have really useful videos for the Android Kotlin stuff, and we have this guy saying that were you on a hangover in this video, because you looked like you were about to throw up all throughout the video, for example at 33 minutes. So this video is from 2 years ago as well, and I know when I was recording at that time, I was like extremely sick, kind of like right now, but during the earlier videos, I just wasn't super comfortable at recording at all, so that's kind of why it appeared that way. Yeah. So we also get some silly questions like, hey, do you teach Swift? After watching like a Swift dedicated video, people are asking me this, which is kind of silly. I don't know why I get some of these questions, but nonetheless, I still get them. We have Joanne Izumi, so learned a lot from this tutorial. You don't see a lot of female faces on this channel, very similar to the rest of the programming channels out there. Just not a lot of females, unfortunately. I'm trying to make a change and trying to see how I can make it more female friendly, but that's a constant struggle that programmers have to deal with. So we also have someone asking for an app code review. So app code, for some of you that are not familiar, is a editor that allows you to type Swift and compile your project. And basically for that editor, app code, JetBrains releases it under a license for, I think it's $299 per year. And that's pretty expensive. I don't exactly want to go out and purchase app code just to do a review on it. I have used AppCode for a while, maybe like 2 to 3 days. I find it to be a better editor than Xcode just because you don't have to deal with like interface builder. I can type out the code really, really quickly. So AppCode is actually maybe better than Xcode in terms of getting your app out in just code. So maybe I'll have to purchase an AppCode license to show you guys how AppCode actually works. That's a really nice editor. If you don't have to deal with like storyboard interface builder, then AppCode makes a lot of sense. All right. So hello from Manila. It is 1:30 a.m. Yeah. Trying to integrate Facebook and Google Auth to one of my apps, watching your translation at the same time. Yeah. PC requirements for programming. So one project that I'm also working on lately is building out a new computer to do a couple of things. Actually, I just installed Mac OS High Sierra for my laptop, and I noticed that everything has slowed down dramatically. I believe it's because of the new file system of High Sierra, which is APFS, Apple something file system, partitioning file system. Basically slowed down everyone's computers by a lot. And I really regret doing the High Sierra upgrade, because what's happening is that when I record these live videos, or not this one particularly, but the ones where I actually code, there's a lot of, I guess, desyncing of the video and audio, which makes it really hard for me to record videos for you guys. So I am putting together like a Hackintosh so that I can record videos faster and actually edit videos better as well. So everything's really slow right now. So I'm working on a project where I have a lot of like pretty expensive computer parts to get my computer up and running. I don't have the motherboard and the power supply yet, but the rest of the components I actually have already. So I'm going to put a video together, maybe a series of videos to show everyone that's watching the channel how to put together a computer. Maybe I'll do a Windows build as well. Maybe I'll do a dual boot setup where I can boot into Windows and also boot into Mac OS High Sierra. So I don't know exactly how that's going to go, because the last time I worked on a Hackintosh was about 5 to 6 years ago. Didn't really have a great experience because I got a ton of kernel panics and the OS just didn't really, wasn't really stable for too long if I tried to do a lot of different things. So I think 6 years ago, not a lot of useful Hackintosh tutorials were out yet. And from what I know and from what I see right now, there's a lot of like Hackintosh builds and a lot more information on the internet, obviously, from 6 years ago. So I wanted to show people how to like actually install or build a computer, because I think it's a fun experience. Going through that entire process, you actually learn about how a computer is like put together. And I think the whole point of the building a computer is that it's like much cheaper compared to what you can buy from the store or from Apple itself. So altogether, the parts that I've bought is about like $1,200 to $1,500. It's gonna be equivalent to like a Mac, an iMac Pro, which costs like $5,000 to $6,000. And yeah, it's nice to have a computer that you worked on yourself, because you can just replace the parts when it becomes older. And you can't really replace the internals of an iMac Pro, which kind of sucks. Yeah. The other big problem is that a lot of the computer parts, like the RAM, the SSD, video cards, they become so much more expensive because of the new, just the impact of Bitcoin mining and cryptocurrency in general just has caused a lot of parts to skyrocket in price. So I'm gonna maybe make a video on that as well. Luckily, I have I have some money set aside to buy some more higher end computer parts, and I don't exactly recommend buying budget parts for a brand new computer unless you're just building a budget system for budget, I guess for budget projects. So for example, you want to build like a little entertainment system for your TV, then a budget computer will work just fine. I'm actually trying to build like a very high-end Hackintosh so that I can edit 4K videos, process some of these video tutorials faster, because currently it takes me I think like 2 hours to get from editing to export to upload to get that whole process done. So a faster computer will make the editing process much faster. And yeah, so altogether, that's kind of what I'm looking forward to in the next week or two, because that's when all my parts are going to be shipped through Newegg. And yeah, it'll be fun. Hopefully you guys will enjoy that series. Okay, so we have some questions about, do you have an app in the App Store which makes money? Is it possible to earn money from an App Store, which nowadays there are a lot of apps? So I don't know what to say about that, because the App Store is just like any other market. There's a lot of competition. I don't exactly recommend building an application just to make money from it. I think the App Store really is a platform that exposes your brand and your technology, and it's just another channel for you to gain users. If you want to build an app just purely for like money, then I don't think the App Store is the right place to do that. It's just really hard to make any sort of money nowadays on the App Store. So yeah, maybe that's because I'm thinking a little bit too big picture. I think if you want to make a lot of money, then trying to go into the App Store just to earn a couple of cents isn't worth it to me. It's kind of like this YouTube channel. I put a lot of free content out there, and it's not because the free content generates a lot of Google AdSense revenue. It generates very, very little AdSense. You gotta think about everything in the big picture. And in the grand scheme of things, this YouTube channel, it's just another way to market myself and get the content out there. That's really what it is. Yeah, so we have Ivan Cantorino. Says, hi Brian, from Portugal. No, I didn't know you were from Portugal. I think I have someone contacting me from Portugal about a tech conference that he wants me to join, and he's pretty much telling me that okay, he's gonna pay for the stay, pay for the trip, just so that I can come out there and give a talk. I don't know exactly what to make of it, but we'll see if I head over to Portugal to give a tech talk. So thanks for your Instagram comments on my animation and design. So yeah, a lot of you don't know, but I'm also on Instagram. Making a push to get more followers on Instagram seems to be the newest trend to kind of follow. And if you guys want to follow me on Instagram, you guys can see down here. Yeah, that's my profile. I think I have like 700 followers now. The numbers are slowly catching up to maybe the YouTube channel. If I can get 100,000 by maybe end of this year, that'd be great. But not really chasing the Instagram numbers so much, but I think it's a fun way to interact with people. So where are we at? Hello from Latvia. Do you have any estimate for UI builder plus code built UI? Yeah, I don't know what you're asking. Yeah, a lot of comments here. Let me see if I have anything else I want to show through the YouTube chat or the YouTube comments. Yeah, so there are a lot of questions that I get on the comments for every freaking video, and the best thing for you guys to do really isn't to ask these super long questions on the comments. It's really hard to answer anything at all that's not just a simple yes or no. It's actually better if you head on over to Stack Overflow to see if anyone else has posted the same types of questions, and maybe you've done that already and trying to maybe commenting on YouTube videos is your last resort. But I don't know, it's really hard to answer anything. So most of the time I see the comments, I actually read probably 99% of them. Answering them is just too much work for me in general. And it's kind of hard to actually present a solution to these problems inside of a 2-paragraph comment. It's really difficult. So some comments are actually really silly because it's like this person, Chandra Babu. He says that he typed out all this stuff, and then at the very end he says that this let JSON code is complaining that it says use of unresolved identifier data. Well, obviously data is not available because the way that he's commented out data in these 3 top lines, like data is constructed on this line, and then he's trying to use data down here, but he's commented it out. So I get a lot of these comments like, oh, here's the code that I tried, but it doesn't work, and it's like super, super obvious what the reason is, because data right here is not available because you've commented it out. And if you will follow the instructions on a video, then I would probably wouldn't have to answer like 90% of the questions on these videos. Like the good thing about a video is that you can pause and play and see exactly what the guy is doing, right? It's a really good resource to learn how to program. And I get really frustrated when people don't follow the instructions in a video, because when you ask a question about why things don't work and it's because you, like the user didn't do what the video told them to do, I think that irritates me more than like a troll commenting on my videos. I don't know why. Yeah, then we get questions like how to get mobile numbers from Facebook SDK. Like the Facebook documentation provides all of this stuff for you. It's not too difficult to integrate it. But I understand that documentation is hard to read sometimes, because if you're not used to looking at documentation, it's pretty intimidating, because there's so many steps to follow. Like there's this long list of 10 things that you have to do exactly correct, and if you mess up in between, you don't exactly know what's going on. So that's what I think about documentation. And yeah, so we get these questions like this as well, where, you know, this thing doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? How do I fix it? Well, you just have to do things correctly, otherwise, yeah, it's really hard to answer questions. And because you guys don't own this YouTube channel, you guys probably don't know how many of these comments I get. But you know, every now and then you get really good comments like, "You are the man, brother." Yeah. Just comment after comment after comment. So one of the best comments that I've gotten on a YouTube video is someone saying that this is not a freaking Stack Overflow post or board, and people seem to come to these videos with the original intention of learning how to program, and then inevitably their comments are like, "Oh, how do I do this? How do I do that? If you have the time to do this, why can you show me how to do this?" Like, no, this is just too hard. So, like, I understand people want to learn how to do things, but trying to ask for things, like, I get so many comments about, can you do this? Can you build this? Can you fix my problem here? Like, I can't do all of this stuff. Like, this is why a YouTube video is helpful, because you can address like a question that 10 or 20 or 100,000 people will have with just a simple video. So video technology as a learning platform is super, super helpful for a lot of like a mass audience. And unfortunately, you know, I can't create videos to answer every question out there. I try to answer things as much as I can through my videos. And like a long time ago, someone asked me like, why don't you explain more about the code that I'm typing out? Well, the whole point of these videos isn't really to teach you everything, but I really want to focus on providing that inspiration for the learners out there that want to get into iOS and Swift development. And that's all I want to do. I want to provide that inspiration. And what I'm really trying to do is to give you the experience of putting together code. That's it. I'm not really trying to provide everything for you, because that's just impossible. And that'll actually make the videos suffer. So that's kind of my thought process between all this stuff. We have Gaurav Nagar asking me if I'm Japanese. I am not Japanese, but I am trying to learn the Japanese language. One of the hardest things that I think exists in the world is to learn a spoken language that you don't have any experience in. And so for me, Japanese is pretty hard. But the more I watch like these animes, and yeah, I'm actually getting into Japanese anime a lot lately. I'm starting to pick up words every now and then. The good thing about Japanese is that the counting system is easy to remember. Well, I guess it's kind of easy, but I can't even say the numbers right now. But a lot of the words that are in Japanese is actually the exact same character in Chinese. So being able to read the Chinese characters helps you understand the Japanese. Pretty much it's a one-to-one translation because the characters mean the exact same thing. And there's a downside to that as well, because in my head, the Chinese calligraphy of the character, I read it in Chinese in my head, and then the Japanese pronunciation is totally different. So that's like a little speed bump that gets in my way as I'm learning how to read Japanese. The other thing about the Japanese language which is hard, is that you have to remember all of the Japanese alphabet. I guess the hiragana and the katakana. There's like two sets of the same alphabet. So like you have like I don't know, nani ne, or sa, like all these characters, and there's two alphabets for the exact same character set, and the second character set is used to represent the English words that are integrated in the Japanese language. And you have to know all this stuff, and also the kanji. So you have to learn 3 sets of characters. I wish it was as simple as Chinese, because Chinese is just one character set, and all you have to do is you remember all the characters and you're good. But having to learn all this stuff, I really wish I could stay in Japan for like a year, because I really, really love to learn languages, and I think that 1 year would help me dramatically. So he said, after seeing your videos, I've never touched storyboards again, and I've already gained the habit of programming only by code on every language. So yeah, that's really, really good to hear. So when I set out to make this channel, I wanted to get people away from drag and drop tools, and to show them like the real developer experience is typing out code on our keyboards right here. So when you type out code, it's not necessarily like, oh, typing out code is really, really a lot of work. It's hard. There's all these lines of code that you have to understand later on, and it's hard to maintain. So yeah, like that's not a trivial problem. That's actually a real problem that exists in software development. Like, you don't want to have a lot of lines of code. But what you have to understand is that the power that comes through your keyboard and your fingers while you type out the code, that's actually like the part, the developer experience that gets you better at typing out code and thinking about programming in terms of the syntax. So if all you're doing is dragging and dropping things onto like a visual storyboard, you're really, your programming skills, they're actually taking a hit because you're not used to typing out the code. So like, for example, to generate a view, setting the frame, setting the bounds on it, that's something that you actually have to learn how to do as a real programmer. And if you never construct a view programmatically, like let view equals UI view, then you're not as familiar with like typing out the code. Your fingers, they're not as agile, and you don't have the dexterity of just simply typing out the syntax. So when people tell me like, oh, just drag and drop this thing on the storyboard, like that's not the point of programming. The point of programming is like, make sure your fingers are used to typing out code. At least that's what I try to encourage. Yeah, so again, I don't really care, like like after a while UI development gets really boring anyways. All you're doing is you're creating this cell for this table view list thing, and like 95% of the time it's just that same task. You're filling this list with a cell. That's 90% iOS work. And it gets really boring, and as a developer, you shouldn't have to worry about this stuff anyways. So, yeah. So we have a good question from Yolev. So why does it seem that Apple pushes forward storyboards instead of both approaches? So this statement isn't exactly how I would phrase it. Apple pushes for both coding and storyboards. The reason why they seem like they're pushing storyboards more is because for people that are just getting into programming, they're going to look at the things that are easy to understand, and storyboards is obviously visual, so it seems like it's easier to kind of implement. If you go and look at their more advanced videos on the in their Swift talks, like the advanced videos, they don't talk about anything related to storyboards. It's like, oh, how do you provide like background downloading for your application so that you don't disrupt your downloads whenever your application is no longer the foreground. And things like, oh, AV Player has many different ways to perform live streaming through AV Player, called using this HLS technology. And they talk about the many different advantages of doing a live stream versus a stream that's pre-recorded, broken down into many, many parts. So their advanced talks, like no one really talks about UI at all because it's such a UI becomes trivial after a while. It's like you probably don't know that yet because people haven't done a lot of UI programming. They don't have a lot of experience in it, so you might think that, oh yeah, this putting together the UI is such a like difficult thing to do, but after a while it becomes very trivial. Yeah, so I guess everything becomes trivial after a while. But yeah, so I hate storyboards. Typing code is life. So I actually like Interface Builder, and the next course, the podcast course, which is coming out next week. I know it's been a while, but I've been finalizing a lot of the features for the podcast app. And so basically, maybe I want to show it for you guys today. Let's see, do I have a way to pull it up here? Okay, I think I'll close out my other simulator. Let's see if I can bring this one up. Okay, so let's see, where do I want to put this? I guess I'll put this over the chat. Okay, so here is something that I've been kind of working on. I actually wanted to record a video on how to do this layout, but oh wells. Okay, so here's the podcast app, and this is what it looks like so far. So I've been working on like how to implement this dragging behavior, which shows the player, and you can also drag to dismiss it, and also enable downloading for all of the podcast episodes that you want to listen to offline. And I'm just wrapping up on all these features and enabling the playing so that you can fast forward and do all this playback stuff. But yeah, pretty much wrapping up on everything that I want to teach so that it's not too boring. And that's what I'm working on lately. And once I have this kind of in production, I'm going to start working on the Tinder lessons. And yeah, seems like it's taking forever. And after a while, when you work on these projects for so long, all you want to do is just get it out there so that you don't have to think about it anymore. Yeah. Okay, where are we at? So, 9:53 in the Pacific Coast. So Vineet says that, is there any resources to learn UI programming? because every tutorial out there seems like they are using the storyboard. So the storyboard, resources for programmatically building our UI. There's not a whole lot of it because it's kind of advanced, and people that put out storyboard tutorials, they're not exactly like the best developers in the world. So that's kind of why they don't use code. Like the really good developers, they don't have time to make YouTube videos anyways. So they're not going to show you all their secrets. But yeah, I mean, learning how to do something in code is actually not that hard. You just look for it on Stack Overflow like what I do. And that's where I get most of my code from anyways. So this question is about, please make a course about playing videos offline, or even better, make a iPad app so that you can cache video for watching without using your data plan. So pretty much this podcast course does exactly that, but in audio format, but it's going to work exactly the same. I'm not going to show how to build a video player in the podcast course, but if you watched the podcast stuff, all the lessons there, you'll be able to understand exactly how that works. And once you know how the caching works, how to download a video file, an audio file, or whatever file onto the application container, then you can just play that file directly with a file URL. Like, it's kind of tricky how you do this stuff, but the course will teach you exactly how to do it. It's not exactly that hard. So we have a question about Udemy again. Why don't you make some Udemy courses? Well, I think Udemy is trash. So, like as a platform itself, Udemy is just kind of trash. People that put courses on there typically want to get away from Udemy as quickly as they can. So people always tell you, like a lot of the instructors on Udemy tell you that the moment that you get on Udemy, your first strategy is how do you get off of Udemy. So that should be enough to kind of tell you why instructors don't want to be on Udemy. Basically, the profit revenue and the profit sharing through Udemy just really sucks. And Udemy can take your courses down as they feel. So it's a good platform for I guess students, but as a instructor, it's pretty horrible. So that's kind of why I don't do Udemy. Udemy isn't good. Yeah, Udemy is horrible. So that's, yeah. So Avar says, sorry for the messy question. I asked about the podcast course release date to see your approach on interface builder and programmatic code mixing. Already got your answer. So yes, the podcast course will integrate some of the interface builder aspects of building out some cells using IB. And it's actually pretty fun. I like using interface builder to build out very simple views because it's visually easier to understand. And then I'll go over how to make the code version of it. So, you know, that's something that I've been struggling with lately. Like, how much of the code do I want to show versus the interface builder side of things? And I guess I'll just show everything. Like, people that purchase the course probably want to see that anyways. So that's kind of my thought process right now. Hopefully more lessons in a course is actually what you guys really want. Like, I don't want to make the course really boring because I can talk forever about development. It's kind of what I live for. A little sad, but as you guys probably can tell through the videos, I really like to code, and I can talk about code for days and days and days. Just like probably everyone else that's watching. That's probably why you're watching the channel, because you like to code and you just want to get better at it. And you know, some of the videos here will hopefully give you that bit of a push into the right direction. That's how I like to organize my content. Great channel. Thanks for giving back. When changing careers, Are recruiters useful for? I hate recruiters. I think recruiters are like the scum of the earth. No, actually, some recruiters are decent. I actually know a couple of really, well, I know I'm friends with recruiters because we used to work in the same company, but I've never been recruited by them, so I don't know their recruiting tactics. For the most part, recruiters will contact you and then they'll kind of build you up as to what this company is going to offer you, right? Well, here's the salary, here's the benefits, the company culture is exactly what you're trying to look for. And then basically they'll give you a contact. The contact will interview you for like not five, but half an hour maybe. And then if you do not meet their bar or their expectations, you're pretty much cut off from the whole process. The recruiter will never contact you. Even if you try to reach out, the recruiter will basically see that you are not worth their time. And hence, if they even type out an email saying that you have been disqualified for the entire process, that would be a nice thing for them to do. But because recruiters are all about numbers and meeting their quota, they don't treat you like a human being. And that's what recruiters do. So I understand it from a recruiter's point of view. And they're probably even taught to do things this way because you don't want to waste too much time on people that won't help you meet your quota. So if you have that expectation in mind, then recruiters are not bad. So over the years, I've gotten used to how to interact with recruiters. That's just made it easier for me. This and Tinder. Yes, the Tinder course will be out next week. I don't know. I'm actually trying to get settled into a different office because even though my bedroom right here is what you're seeing is a pretty comfortable place, it's not the most productive. Like I find myself just not doing a whole lot of useful work. And that's why I'm trying to move into a different place. And I actually miss seeing people, like physically seeing people and interacting with new people. Kind of miss that aspect of having a regular job. So moving into a different place will hopefully get some of that back for me again. Will there be more lessons on Kotlin? Probably in a couple of months. I think I'll put out an Instagram course for Kotlin and Android. And hopefully that will help people. I just don't know if it's going to be worth my time. But I get a lot of people that ask me for like a Kotlin version of the Instagram course. So hopefully I'll do that. The other thing about putting out all these lessons and these videos all the time is that over the years, I've gotten better at kind of using techniques that are easier to build out the apps. So when I look back like two years ago, those videos, some of the techniques that I showed, they're not the best techniques to use anymore. Yeah. So yeah, I think with every course that I put out, every video, it gets better and better, and it gets quicker and quicker to get through some of the content. When do I plan on putting up podcast lessons? Probably sometime next week. I have most of the screenshots for the coursework, like the workflow and all this stuff, mapped out onto Photoshop. So I'm just preparing all this stuff, and then I'm going to shoot my like demo video and then the course outline video, and then I'll start production of the lessons. Udemy has too much rules and restrictions. Yeah, Udemy is just not a good place for instructors. Where do you get started? Storyboard or code? Whatever you find to be easier to learn, that's what you should start with. Programming is better than dating a girl. I'm trying to process that right now. So the immediate thought that comes to my mind are all the negative aspects of dating a girl. And the negative aspects, there are a lot. And while that is true, there are some things that programming does not provide. And so those couple of things that programming doesn't provide is actually pretty huge. It makes a big impact on your life when you don't have those things that comes with dating an actual person. Any idea regarding the price point of the podcast app? So the podcast app is going to be like $50 or somewhere around there because, that's what it's worth, really. I mean, it's actually worth a lot more than that. If you have to actually pay someone for this, it's like a couple of $1,000s to even teach you how to build an app like that. So that's the price point I'm thinking about. Like thinking about how much $50 is right now is not a whole lot anymore. I think 5 years ago, $50 would seem like a lot, but it's just a couple of cups of coffee, 2-3 lunches in certain states in America. That's not America. Is that the offensive thing to call the United States? Is it? So United States of America is officially what the 50 states are called. And I don't think you're supposed to say I'm from America, because America is the actual continent that contains Canada, United States, Latin America, South America. And so you can't say you're from America. I believe that's the politically correct thing to actually say. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's offensive when you go abroad and you say, oh, I'm from America. And then some people would assume the entire America, not just the United States. That's something I learned like a couple of years ago, which is really strange. And if you have a non-Caucasian face, you can get away with this. Because there's been a lot of hate going around lately if you have a Caucasian face. It's been an entertaining couple of months about white privilege and feminism and social justice warriors and white knighting and all this. It seems like everyone's trolling the internet with all this stuff right now, and definitely entertaining for someone like me. I can argue for like either side. It's been really fun. So Master Yoda says that your video courses are never boring, Brian. We appreciate the longer videos, the longer the better for me. Okay. So the other thing that I have been thinking about a lot, maybe not a lot, but video duration, how long videos should be. I think 20 to 30 minutes is probably on the longer side of things. The optimal length of video for me is probably 15 minutes. And then if I go from 15 to 20 minutes, I think that's the perfect amount of time before you start to lose your attention. But yeah. And as you can tell, I try not to ramble at all during the video lessons. I go from point to point to point to point, and I don't want to waste anybody's time because that's how I prefer to learn. Okay. Wow. So Jyotsna Singh, your videos are amazing, boss. Would you please elaborate on data handling? I don't know. Data handling is just like you fetch something from the internet, You get it through some URL session object thing. Use a completion block, handle your errors correctly, make sure you parse your JSON, turn them into objects, try not to do all this stuff in your view controller. And that's pretty much it. Make sure your data fetching code is like reusable so that you don't write your data fetching code 100 times for each endpoint that you're trying to access. That's pretty much it. What level is required for the podcast app? I think it's really beginner. I think most of the courses that I build out are kind of geared towards beginner to intermediate level. And I walk through every concept step by step anyways. And the code is always there. You can always download the code and run lesson by lesson to see how like everything is built up step by step. So it's hard for me to say that anything's really advanced, because if you just break it down into simple to understand lessons, nothing's really that advanced anyways. There are advanced topics that I want to talk about, but I know a lot of people that actually purchase the courses on the website are looking for more advanced lessons. So for the podcast app, I'm thinking about throwing some pretty advanced stuff in there. It's not going to like completely throw people off track, but it's definitely a little harder to understand. But if you want to become more, I guess, more proficient in Swift, there are a lot of things that you can utilize to make your code cleaner. So I'm going to throw in like a lot of advanced stuff, or not a lot, but some advanced stuff inside of the podcast course. Basically the podcast, that entire course, it's going to be 30 to 40 lessons. What I'm really trying to focus on this time is to integrate third-party libraries throughout the entire app. That way we don't focus so much time on building out the functionality ourselves. And inside of the real world, you're probably going to use pods and libraries and third-party dependencies anyways. So you kind of have to get used to integrating CocoaPods. So that's what I'm trying to teach through this lesson. And the thing about this is that there's actually two approaches. You can build out some of the components. You can build out some of these pod dependencies yourself, and this way you don't have to wait for the updates every time Swift changes. It's kind of a pain in the ass, but you just have to deal with it. So I'm going to avoid like teaching the stuff that is already available through a pod, and you'll see how fast and how quickly we can put together a really, really feature-packed application. So that's really what I'm trying to do. 15 to 20 minute videos are awesome. You can execute them on your office breaks too. Matthew says that you do a great job on video and planning a lesson plan structure. Keep it up. Yeah, lesson planning is a really big part of some of these courses. Like, I'm not trying to throw too much at one time. I can, but it'll be difficult to record and also kind of hard to watch. All right, so it's 10:13. I have to head over to the gym pretty soon, so I'm gonna close this stream in, let's say, 2 minutes. Yeah. Again, today's video is brought to you by not Dasani. Might even in focus. Can't even tell. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up for today's video. If you want to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, portfolio profile is down below. and I will try to push out some additional lessons. I have a couple of lessons that I want to record, but I haven't really thought about how to do it yet. So that's going to be maybe out tomorrow or Tuesday. And then I'll see everyone out. Am I gay? I guess we'll have to see. I don't really care. I'm gonna be the manliest man out there. Manly man, brother. Yeah. I will see everyone either next week or maybe the week after that, and we'll have another live stream to fill you in on more about me, and me. So thanks again for joining today's stream, and I'll head to the gym right now. Bye, guys.